Then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, "Here am I." And he ran to Eli and said, Here am I. You called me? But Eli said, "I did not call you. Go back and lay down." So he went to lay down. Again, the Lord called Samuel. And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, "Here I am. You called me?" "My son, my son," Eli said, "I did not call you. Go lay down." Now Samuel did not know yet the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed. A third time the Lord called Samuel. And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, "Here I am. You called me?" Then Eli realized that it was the Lord that was calling the boy. So Eli took Samuel, "Go and lay down. And if he calls again, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" So Samuel went and laid back down in his place. The Lord came and stood there calling as the other times, "Samuel, Samuel." Then Samuel said, "Speak, for your servant is listening." I want to use for a topic, stay woke. In 2014, following the police killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, stay woke suddenly became the controversial watchword for Black Lives Matter activists. On the streets used in a chilling and significant content, keeping watch for police brutality and unjust police tactics. In other words, if you're going to rise up, you first have to stay woke. While in Atlanta filming, one of my castmates began to educate us over food and telling us all the things that the government was putting in our food, telling us that we needed to stay woke, that the things they were doing were actually killing our bodies. Oftentimes when I'm talking to people about relationships and people about different things, I tell them to stay woke. I always tell people to pay attention, be vigilant, be watchful, be mindful of not only your surroundings. My husband tells me that all the time. Stay off your phone because you don't know what's going on around you. Stay woke. So I come today, I want to talk about another stay woke. A woke that a lot of us don't think about is staying spiritually woke. A lot of us come to church Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and your pastor's voice is the only voice you know. When the Lord is actually talking to you, you can't, just like Eli, you can't understand God's voice. And I want to help you guys understand something, because in the beginning of chapter 3, it stated that Samuel was actually under Eli working in ministry. So that means you can work in ministry, but still not know the voice of God. So how are you going to rise up from the enemy? How are you going to rise up and win if you don't even know God's voice? So I wanted to give you guys a few tips on how you can actually be able to understand God's voice. Because the enemy, he's going to come and test you. Every time you look around, he's going to be right there trying to test you. And I'm sorry, it's not the pastor's position every single time you have a problem for you to call on him. Because there is a word from the Lord that is encrypted in you. I tell people all the time, don't look for a word from me when you can go to God just like I go to God. But it's about understanding God's voice. It's about being able to hear God's voice. So the first thing you got to do to be able to hear God's voice is you have to develop an intimate relationship with him. That means stay off of social media. That means stay out of your group text. That even means sometimes stealing away from your boo that you may have said I do to and going to God. Because when the enemy attacks you, and you don't know what attack is going to come your way, one thing you got to be able to do is rise up. See, God allowed us to be able to win in every situation. But a lot of us can't hear him and able to win. So when you wake up in the morning, set your tone for the morning. Let your conversation with God be the first conversation you have. Turn off everything around you. Don't turn on social media. Don't try to see who's talking about what tea. Make sure God is the first voice you hear. And get silent. Develop a relationship with him of praise and worship. I worship every morning because I look at it like this. God already knows what I want because he created me before I was in my mama's womb. So for me to sit there all day and talk to him about my needs is not helping me when the enemy comes in and tries to destroy my needs. The things that you have to do is get silent. Be able to hear when God is speaking. So when tests, trials, and tribulations come, the last thing you're doing is trying to find your pastor's number, trying to find the prophet's number, trying to find somebody that's been in this thing longer than you. Because a lot of us think just because I've just got in the church, for all of you new Christians, this is not about being a veteran in God to hear from God. It's about a relationship with God. You don't have to go to whoever you think she's been in church for 20 years so she can get to God quicker than me. No, she gets to God quicker than you because she has a relationship with him. So if you develop a relationship with him, you can talk to him quick too, because he'll give you spiritual discernment to meet whatever needs you need. So when the enemy comes in your life, trying to threaten your family, trying to threaten your job, trying to threaten your mindset, you already got a word from God to be able to rise up. So a lot of people always say that no weapon forms against me shall prosper. And then the weapon forms and it also prospers. Why? Because you have no relationship with God. But if you get a relationship with God, that weapon may form, but you got a word that comes from the Lord that allows you to rise up. So whatever weapon forms, it won't prosper. So I need you to look at your neighbor right now and say, neighbor, stay woke. Neighbor, if you stay woke, you'll rise up.